All right, good evening, everyone. On behalf of Beyond Baroque Literary Arts Center, I'd like to welcome you all to the Wanda Coleman Theater and to A Night of Ghazals with Tony Barnstone, Bilal Shaw, and friends. Please give it up for everyone. My name is Jimmy Vega. I'm the Associate Director of Beyond Baroque. I'd like to start by acknowledging Beyond Baroque's presence on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Tonga peoples. We acknowledge the wrong done to these peoples through settler colonialism, genocidal practices, and the violent disposition of their land. As an arts organization, we are committed to uplifting Indigenous communities, their stories, and cultures. For those who don't know, Beyond Baroque is Los Angeles' oldest literary arts center, located here in Venice, California. Founded in 1968 by George Drury Smith, first as an experimental literary magazine, before reimagining itself and becoming the literary home we know it as today. We are based out of the original Venice City Hall and help support writers and help cultivate new writing through our extensive program of writing workshops, readings, and performances. We offer a number of workshops online via Zoom, such as our free weekly Monday night fiction workshop facilitated by Raquel Baker, and our historic Wednesday night poetry workshop currently facilitated by Arthur Kazakian. Similarly, we offer several paid in-person and online intensive workshops throughout the year. Later this fall, we'll feature a special critique workshop with Dorian Locks and Kim Adonisio, with a few more workshops slated for the rest of the year as well. Aside from our workshops, we offer several readings throughout the year. Tomorrow afternoon, we'll feature Paul Evangelisti's new book, Just in Time. Paul will be accompanied by Robin's Nest Quintet for an afternoon of poetry and jazz. Later that evening, we'll celebrate the release of Writing the Golden State, featuring work by Cassandra Lane, Ramon Garcia, and Caribbean Fragoza, to name a few. So please do come back and support all of that. And for more information on our readings and workshops, please do visit our website at beyondbaroque.org and on our socials as well at BB Lit Arts. We also offer several memberships to Beyond Baroque, starting at $60 for an individual membership. Purchasing a membership allows us to offer free online and in-person programming, as well as it keeps our free weekly workshops going. And then lastly, on November 2nd, we will be hosting our annual fundraiser, the Beyond Gala, at Playa Studios in Culver City. We'll be gathering to celebrate our special honorees, Sheshu Foster, Ashaki Jackson, Douglas Mersley, and Exene and John Doe of the band X, who actually met at Beyond Baroque's Wednesday night workshop. So we hope to see you all there on November 2nd. If you want to buy a ticket, if you want to help support the gala in any way through an ad, sponsorship, please do see me after tonight, and let's see how we can support Beyond Baroque. Big thank you to all of our staff for making tonight possible. Quentin Ring, Yvonne Salinas, Eric Alberg in the booth, Genesis Perez, Nick Foreman in the bookstore, Tyler Newfield, thank you for all that you do. Now, without further ado, I want to introduce the MC for the night, and in doing so, I will read Tony's bio. Tony Barnstone teaches at Whittier College and is the author of 23 books and a music CD.
How many books?
23 books. His new book of poems is Apocryphal Poems. His other books of poetry include Pulp Sonnets, Beast in the Apartment, Buddha in Lamas, Antohilia Poetica, Tongue of War, From Pearl Harbor to Nagasaki, The Golem of Los Angeles, Sad Jazz, Sonnets, and Impure. Most of those books are for sale in our bookstore, by the way. He is also the translator or co-translator of world literature, primarily Chinese, but also Spanish and Urdu. Among his awards are the Poets Prize, the Stockton International Prize, the Pushcart Prize in Poetry, the John Serrati Prize, the Benjamin Saltman Award, and fellowships from the NEA, NEH, and California Arts Council. He also co-edited the anthologies Republic of Apples, Democracy of Oranges, New Echo Poetry from China and the United States, and Dead and Undead Poems, and Monsterverse. His new publications are a co-translation from the Urdu Faces Hidden in the Dust, Selected Ghazals of Ghalib and a Creativity Tool, The Radiant Tarot, Pathway to Creativity. His forthcoming book is the critical study titled William Carlos Williams and the Technological Modernism. He is currently working on a libretto for an opera Tony has been extremely busy, and we're happy to feature him tonight. Please welcome Tony Barnstone.
Tony!
Thank you. That was unnecessary. You could have just said that dude over there. Thank you for coming out. Thank you to my wonderful friends and readers who are coming to do this event with us tonight. Thank you to my incredible co-translator and also the co-translator with Anthony Lee of the poems of Mir. Together we worked for a number of years on the poems of Ghalib. I'm going to talk just a little bit about these two writers. Well, I'm going to let, maybe you'll say a little something about Mir because I know less about him, but just a little bit about Ghalib and the ghazal, just to kind of orient us a little bit as we go into tonight's reading. I also want to thank Yvonne and Jimmy and Beyond Baroque for making this happen and all the great things that make happen.
Jimmy! Thank you, Jimmy!
So I'm just going, just a little, what we'll be doing tonight. I'll just be quickly introducing people with a little mini bio, and they're going to come up and they'll read their own ghazals, something from each of the books and some of their own work as well. There's about 6 or 7 of us, so it will be probably sticking our landing about an hour. And so that's what to expect. In about 1999 or so, this guy over here was a student at Whittier College. He was my student. And he's a 3-2 engineering guy, became a data scientist, went to USC, got his PhD in quantum computing, and he's a terrific poet. And he's a classic Whittier student, right? 3-2 engineering, loves poetry, right? That's the Whittier way. It turns out that we really hit it off in part because we both loved this too little known in the West, extraordinary, the Shakespeare of India poet, Asadullah Khan Ghalib, known mainly as Ghalib. And he, somebody I've always loved through all the translations that were available to me, and Bilal did as well. And so as we became friends over the years after he graduated, we decided to do this book together. He was a poet of the 19th century in northern India. Another poet that he worked on was a poet from a century before, from earlier in the century, the 18th century, Mir. They probably, would you agree, are the best known ghazal poets of India? Yeah, okay, of the Indian subcontinent. What is the ghazal or the ghazal, if you want to do the Spanish translation? The truth is that it's something that is in many cultures. It's essentially what you might think of as like the sonnet, equivalent to the sonnet in the sense that the sonnet in the West is that vehicle for poems to God and poems of love and poems to God that are poems of love, right? And that's a good way of describing a lot of what the ghazal does in both its origins in the Middle East and in its migrations through North Africa to Spain, where is the ghazal. And to India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and all through the Indian subcontinent. So it becomes this the poem which is one of the kind of the great short form of poem of these cultures. In India, in particular, it joins together the extraordinary Indian tradition of love poetry, which goes all the way back to the Sanskrit, and it's amazing, incredibly erotic poetry, but also that Indian tradition of what's called the Bhakti tradition of devotional poetry. And so often what will happen is that in the great Bhakti poets like Chandidas and others, you find that that the poem of love to the god, whether it be Krishna, Vishnu, whoever is often a very sexual, intense poem, but also one of heartbreak, which is also the heartbreak of being disconnected from the love of God. So these are some of the themes we'll be seeing tonight. A little bit about the form. You'll be hearing this. I'm sure that if you're here, you probably know this, but it's worth kind of saying. The form of the poem, it's in couplets, okay? And then the first couplet ends with a rhyme plus a repeated word or particle. And then the first two lines do that, and then every other line in every other couplet. The other thing about it, in my introduction to the book, I talk about it as being kind of equivalent to the American blues, in the sense that, like the blues, you're working with couplets, and like with the blues, the first line of the couplet is repeated when performed out loud, but on the page, not. Although typically in the blues it's written with the repeated line and then the closing line. But when you think about it like that, that makes the couplet of the ghazal become like a purse that either snaps shut or snaps open. It's because the first line, here's your line, and then the second line's like wait for it, and then boom, you get the closing line. So that's the structure of it. And since each couplet is so independent like that, often, like in the blues, you can have a theme, but you don't necessarily have a story. You might have a theme of love and loss, but it may be that you're jumping around from this to this, and it's almost like eating sushi, right? It's okay, that's a great flavor, here's a great flavor. It's all a sushi meal, but you have a bunch of different flavors mixed together. Sometimes they all come together as a theme, but if it jumps from thing to thing, don't worry about it. Enjoy each couplet. That's all I got to say, and I'm going to get out of here, but first I want to introduce our first poet. For that, I have to open my iPhone. Yvonne M. Estrada is the author of the chapbook, My Name on Top of Yours, A Crown of Sonnets. I know those sonnets. They're amazing. Incredible poet with original photographs. Her poems are included in numerous journals and anthologies, including Pratik, The Ghosts of Paradise. Please welcome.
Thank you. What a bright light. So I will first read the ghazals or huzzles, it's pronounced in my world, from the authors Mir and Ghalib. The first one is Mir, and it's I'm drunk and blind. I'm drunk. My friends, forgive me, please, for I am drunk. Pour me an empty cup, for I am drunk. And on the next round, give me just a sip. Don't fill my blurry eyes, for I am drunk. No need to listen to my garbled verse. Just tell me what you please, for I am drunk. Now hold my hand the way you hold your glass, and walk with me for a while, for I am drunk. It's not my fault if I can't walk a line, so don't be angry now, for I am drunk. The Friday prayer won't run away. Slow down, damn it. Let me come too, though I am drunk. Mir, what's this? Your soft words, your wild temper. My lips can't argue with the glass. I am drunk. And that was something else I learned about the hustle, is that if you put your name in it, somehow there's bonus points of some sort. So I only did it once. So. And this puzzle is by Ghalib. The title is Who Cares? If you aren't satisfied with my death, who cares? Even if I have to pass more tests, who cares? Desire to see you is a thorn that pricks. If desire picks no flowers in the garden of rest, who cares? Wine worshippers drink straight from the cask, so if the cupbearer is not among the guests, who cares? The breath of Case is the eye lamp of the desert. Layla's black tent has no candle, but do not fret. Who cares? A house needs some excitement to have life. If not happy music, dirges instead. Who cares? I do not want praise, do not care for reward. If my poetry has no depth, who cares? To be with a beauty is a lucky strike. Ghalib, if you die before your death, who cares? Thank you, Ghalib and Mir. This is my offering. And the title of this ghazal is Peace Offering. There can be no forgiveness because the wound does not heal. No time to scar, no balm of oil from the olive branch. So many bodies, the blood stops flowing for no one. When there is nothing left to say, we offer the olive branch. Oil to light lamps, to cook, for massage, ointments, and anointment. On the earth long before the dove brought back the olive branch. Stillness in the sanctuary of shade, dark leaves, pale flowers, stories in the twisted trunks, rest under the olive branches. Raised, burned, stolen, ripped out by machines, trees weaponized destroy futures. Still, hope can be grafted to the wild olive branch. Thank you.
Next, we have Douglas Manuel, the author of 2 collections of poetry, Testify and Trouble Funk, both of them over there in the bookstore. He's assistant professor of English at Whittier College, teaches at Spalding University's low-res MFA program. He's my friend and my colleague, and he's amazing. Here he is.
Y'all stop. Well, I'm so happy to be here. The ghazal form has always been one that I've kind of been mystified by, and literally the way that I like to talk about it is it feels so much like dervishes when we get to that second line of returning, right, with the spin. They're like you're returning to that spot, and I always like to teach them like that and thought about that. So Tony, when you were so animated and giving it to us, I was like, is he going to hit one? Is he going to hit one? Is he going to hit one? So yeah, I'm going to start out with, and thank you for everybody coming. Like we were saying, there was a Dodgers game. It's Friday. It's the West Side. So seriously, thank you, and shout out to Whittier students who are here too. Thanks, Jack. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So I'm going to first read from Faces Hidden in the Dust, and I'm going to begin with At This Party. At this party, it is useless to be modest. All I do is sit here, yet fingers point at me. It is just a heart, scared of the doorman's power. I walk past your door, but do not speak. I pawn my ragged robe and prayer rug for wine. It has been too long since I feasted on wind and dew. Even at immortal Kuriski's age, my life would be waste. Tomorrow, he will ask you, too, what did you do? If I could interrogate the dust, I'd ask, oh miser, what did you do with the treasure you hoarded? On which day does the enemy not slice me with slander? Which day does not see the blade saw my head? I hope she does not learn this new habit from him. She kisses you even before you beg. No, she is not bad, just stubborn. She keeps thousands of promises when she forgets not to. Ghalib, ask yourself, do you really expect an answer? Yet you keep talking so long as she will listen. Bring the other one up really quickly. Give me 1 second. Bink. Boom, boom. Yeah. Scroll, scroll, scroll. This is when I would poetry prattle a little bit more if it was my own work. But give me 1 second and then we'll get there. It shows. There we go. And here's the one from Mir. Love is just beginning. Love is just beginning, and I weep. Why? Just go on. See what happens, man. Why not? Hear that? Sounds of the morning caravan. So move! They're leaving, fool. You're sleeping. Why? The land of heart will not turn green again. Still I sow seeds of my desire. Why? These love stains on my skin will not come off. Still I wash the wounds that scar my chest. Why? Yet more precious than Joseph's hair is time. And Mir, you are wasting this rare thing. Why? Now, I guess I'll say before I read my the piece that I want to read really quickly and get out of here is that I just love the play in both of that. And I feel like, even just today when I was teaching in my poetry workshop of like, we feel like so often that like you put on your poetry hat and you're so serious. So like, honestly, to like be so tongue in cheek and play is really awesome and something that I wish that I could do a lot more in my own work. So Hard Volta, I was going to try to develop a ghazal for y'all, but as a lot of people know, I'm a new dad and drowning in time. So yeah, instead I'll read something from Trouble Funk. It's not that long, but it deals a lot with repetition. So I think that that's pretty apt. The only thing I'll say, this is a love story about my parents getting together in the late 70s and early 80s. And each of these poems are titled after a song my dad liked to spin. My dad was a DJ during that time period. And after the title, I'm going to say a year, and that year is going to be the narrative action of the poem, not the year the song came out. I think that's all y'all need to know. And again, thank y'all so much, and thank you for making this event happen, and honored to hear everybody here and be with such cool friends. And every time I get to come beyond Baroque, I'm like, yay! So, yay! All right, here we go. Got to Love Somebody, 1987. A pistol, a razor blade, a crack pipe, a photo of a woman who loves him more than he loves liquor and all his other girls, a lighter, a pint of Thunderbird, a 38 slug, a speaker to lay his head down by. The bass makes his face shake. A cigarette, a prayer. I hope he's better than me. All I want for him is to be skinny and better than me. Really, really skinny, not chubby. A crack pipe, a rock, a lighter, a photo, a prayer. Help me be better than I am. Help me to be a man. Make her come back, make her come back, make her come back, make her come back, make her come back. A window, a block, a town. The factories call his name, crack calls his name, his eyes are aflame, a spark, a rock, a high that reached out and hugged him as his mama used to, as Denise used to. Damon, a man, his record player, his song, and not a single soul in the world who wants to listen. Thank y'all so much.
Bilal Shah, buddy and my co-translator for the Ghalib book and also the co-translator of the Mir book, an American scientist who has contributed to quantum computing, nanoscience, and theoretical computer science. He's the co-translator of this poem.
Thank you all for coming here. It's really a privilege and an honor to be here amongst all of you. Life is funny. I could not have imagined being a teenager sitting in my high school class in Kashmir being taught Urdu that, decades down the road, I would be co-translating these famous poets from India, and then be standing here at Beyond Baroque and reading them and sharing that experience with all of you. So life is funny. Life is funny. And the other thing I'm going to say is I do miss Anthony Lee, and I wish he were here tonight. He had some obligations, so he couldn't make it. But I imagine him sitting here and listening and experiencing this with all of you. So my first poem is going to be from Mir, and it's called Mir's Poems. Mir is a river. Just hear him recite. Oh God, what thought, what art, what flow. I spin my verse like magic, yet all my mystic poems are lost in dust below. I begged and begged, you never listened once. My humble soul ignored by your ego. I wrote a verse for you on every leaf, and spring itself was envious, I know. Look there! Each fallen forest blade conceals the message of my love in autumn's glow. At night I would cry out my sad story, but you slept through it all. You missed my show. The requiems I wrote inside my heart, they saw my grief in Delhi streets also. In youth, I was all kindness and good works. A tender boil, I burst with every blow. And now, I'm gone. So send up your lament. Too bad. While I was here, you didn't know. It's a short one, another short one by Mir. It's called You're Not a Poet. The God of favors favored me. From dust, from nothing, he gave me human look. Don't say you're a poet, Mir. You just took all your sadness and put it in a book. And this is one of mine, and then I'll finish with one from Ghalib. This one's called Union. Once again, we meet tonight to talk of Union. The 720 Metro, color of salsa verde, meets at Union. To all the empty husks who meet the wind in Union, you too will take flight and greet the earth in Union. Muhammad takes flight with Gabriel, meets Allah in Union. How do I fly? Where do I meet my flame in Union? The tattered scatter, then gather and shatter in Union. A winter night smoke snakes skywards, spreads in Union. Cracked beef pavement pounded by broken feet in Union. I burn in a scorching saucepan to eat with you in Union. What of skin? What of its color? We are sapiens in Union. We're all phosphate backbones rising in Union. Cigarette souls stamped in Art Deco pieces hang in Union. Bilal, your hardened blood holds wine enough to burn in Union. And I'll end the last one. This is a poem by Ghalib. It's called Enough. My thin heart cannot eat this grief of mine enough. My sorrow is full because there is not rose wine enough. I am ashamed to tell the cupbearer I will drink even sediment if it is fine enough. There is no arrow in the bow, no hunter in ambush. In the corner of this cage, I can recline enough. How I revere abstinence. Am I a hypocrite? I have thirst for a reward for being dry enough. How proud the smart ones are. They take the road not taken, but ritual ways bind their feet and are routine enough. Leave me at Zamzam. Why should I want to circle the Kaaba? My pilgrim robe is soaked with wine enough. It will torture me if things do not work out. Now that she has given in, I guess I whined enough. Oh, death, my liver is not yet blood dripping from my eyes. I have things to do. Give me time enough. Could there be someone who does not know Ghalib? He is notorious, but a poet, he is divine enough. Thank you.
Our next poet is Terry Wolverton, the author of 12 books of poetry, fiction, creative nonfiction, including Embers, a novel in poems, and our most recent novel, Season of Eclipse. We're so lucky to have Terry.
Thank you, Tony and Bilal, Beyond Baroque, all of you who are here, even though I can't see all of you who are here. And if folks are on YouTube, I want to give you a shout out as well. Sometimes it's nice to just stay home but feel like you're out. Like Yvonne, I was first exposed to this form through Persian poets, and I was taught to pronounce it ghazal, although there's supposed to be an R in there that I can't make my throat do. So I'm going to begin with Ghalib. Madness of the night of separation. With every step, the goal recedes from me. At my own pace, the desert flees from me. A vision thread stitches my eyelashes shut. Not reading titles on the binding agrees with me. My heart flames wildly in this desolate night. Like smoke, my shadow twirls free from me. May idols not teach lovers this simple thing, grief. The mirror chamber reflects emptily me. My blisters decorate the desert of my lunacy. A luminous string of pearls leaks from me. Non-self is the bedspread of my leisure. My night chamber swells with shadowings of me. When your lustful gaze slices through my neck, I am a trimmed candle, and glances scatter free of me. Oh, helplessness, oh, madness of the night of separation. In the apocalyptic sun, my shadow is concealed from me. You make the goblet spin through 100 colors. The mirrors of a single astounded eye dreams in me. Asad, a flame drips from my burning eye, till garden rags and shavings are fire seeds to me. And this is a poem from Mir. Finished. Long last, my restless heart brings me down now. I failed. My schemes have come to nothing now. In youth I wept. Now old my eyes run dry. Awake all night, it's dawn. I'm sleeping now. You do just as you please, so why blame me? Why should I have to know right from wrong now? The world kneels at your door now. Bandits, thieves, liars, sly or rude, send you their prayers now. So where is Mecca? Which way should I pray? Her lovers chant their prayers on her street now. And tell me what's forbidden, what's allowed, which holy garment do I put on now? Last night in the tavern, the holy man sold his shirt, his pants, his cloak now. And then I saw him pawn his prayer cap too. Naked he sits praying in the mosque now. I chased her for long miles, but stopped to pray. God, even mad with love, I dared not sin now. To catch that frantic deer was such a task. The skill to calm her rage, a miracle now. I clenched her silver arms, then let them go. Why did I trust her words? I'm alone now. Life is black and white now. From dawn to dark I weep. Night to day I am in tears now. Why ask Mir his creed? Praying in the temple, caste mark on his brow, he's left Islam now. And the poem of mine I'm going to share is about the Hindu goddess Kali, who is the goddess of destroying illusions. Kali keeps it real. My teeth leave bruises on your shoulders, but I don't draw blood. Not from you, love, unless you leave. Then I'll swill your raw blood. Vermilion, mother of your unremembered nightmares, you scrabbled to open your stuck-shut eyes. Still, you saw blood. When I bite, red swamps my throat, evicts words grown meaningless, bright with plasma, more real than language in my craw, blood. Am I not beautiful with my necklace of strung skulls? Unsmiling, blank-eyed and bleached as they are of the jaw blood. I have 4 arms, still I cannot hold you. Instead, wield swords to slice through love's ripe illusion, lay bare your straw blood. Let us dance, my love, tango till our dark worlds unravel. Let us writhe in burning battle, hot enough to thaw blood. It's my third eye that scans the future. Kali devours time. Years swirl past my barbed fingertips, leave only this scrawled blood. Thank you.
I realize a little belatedly I should have been doing this for the people online so you can hear who the people are, but okay. Scott Noon Creeley, my colleague at Whittier College and my old friend, is the author of Digging a Hole to the Moon and the Associate Director of the Whittier Scholars Program at Whittier College. Amazing gentleman.
Thank you. It's always wonderful to be, you really can't see anyone. It's always wonderful to be at Beyond Baroque. And Bilal, Tony, these books are beautiful. They're fantastic. I love how the authors can kind of waver between a complete and total earnestness in what they're embracing and then a sense of irony, and just kind of flawlessly switching back and forth between those. And as a former emo kid who is now too old for it, I really appreciated the sentiments. So my first is a Ghalib's, a direction in which to pray. Being faithful to me is betrayal, your lover would say. The good are always called bad, I heard them say. Today, I will share my unquiet heart with her. I am on my way to see what I am spurred to say. Do not talk to them. They are old, out of touch. They say wine and song will relieve me. Absurd, I say. You invade my heart. When I wake up from fainting, so why complain? I prefer this way. I pray to what is beyond sense. Kaaba, merely a direction to face in prayer. Those with pure sight say, now that you have shown mercy to my wounded feet, thorns on the path to you are soothing herbs, I say. Why be afraid? There's a spark in my heart. They say I need air. They're wrong. I need to burn, I say. Let us see what colors her brings out. I cry, Allah, at each tiny word she says. Now let poets, Bashat and Shefta, recite elegies. Ghalib, singer of sad songs, is dead and interred, I say. And this is Mir. I'm gone. I came begging, but with these words, I'm gone. Smile, man. I said a prayer for you. I'm gone. I swore, without you, there's no hope for life. No point. And faithful to that pledge, I'm gone. Once I gazed at your face so hopelessly, but now I cannot find a trace. You're gone. How many days I longed to roam your lane. At last I left and bathed in blood. I'm gone. The day I saw you, it just drove me mad. I can't stand this separation. I'm gone. My forehead on the ground, again, I bowed myself before you. Now I'm gone. I loved you. I worshipped you. My idol. I saw you as a god of men. I'm gone. I spent my life fretting over ghazals. Well, I raised up this art, and now I'm gone. I realize I may have made a perilous error putting mine at the end. This is called Ghazal for Lost Faces. The stars freeze in the sky above the hills. We cling together through wind and rain. You know when the phone chimes, a lone dumb note, your mother's home, scoured flat by wind and rain. Your bones humming in bed, you rasp out sighs, fail to seize sleep and wind its wild reins. You imagine you see the white-hot touch, some trace on her of cancer's winding reign. Scotty, your cousin has no walls or bed. Time evaporates you both, just salt and wind and rain. Thank you.
Next up is the Queen of California poetry, now the Queen of the West, living in Montana, Sarah McClay, whose fifth collection, Nightfall Marginalia, was a 2023 Forward Indies finalist for poetry, and her fourth chapbook, The HD Sequence of Concordance, has just been released from Walton Well Press, both for on sale at the bookstore. Sarah McClay.
Thank you, Tony. That was quite an intro. I was talking to Tony earlier about how this is the third time that he occasionally taps me on the shoulder for this or that. This is the third time that one of those things has resulted in a prompt or opportunity to write something or finish something that's resulted in a poem that I wouldn't have managed to write or complete without him. So thank you, Tony. And thanks to Beyond Baroque. It's so nice to be back this month. I really enjoyed, Bilal, your sense of the play and the wit in these is so strong. And that was kind of an interesting surprise in reading these. I didn't really realize how much wit these particular guys would bring to the occasion, as well as their, the extremities of their hearts on their sleeves. But of course, I had to read the bleaker ones. So this one is Ghalib. It's called No One. Let me live somewhere in brotherhood with no one, speaking and being understood by no one. I'd like to build a doorless, wall-less house with no guard here in the neighborhood of no one. Then when I fall sick, no one will be my healer. My dirge will be sung the way it should by no one. And I'm doing two from Mir because the first one is really short, but I just was blown away by the image and the metaphor. So it's burn. If I cry, earth and air will burn. The blue slope of the sky will burn. Don't ask Mir of love's cruelty. If he cries, the cosmos will burn. And then this is Farhad's lament, also Mir. And I'll include the note that Bilal left at the bottom of this one, because the first stanza immediately makes an allusion to one of the classical love stories of Persian literature, the tale of Farhad and Shirin. Excuse my pronunciation. So in the first lines of the poem, Mir suggests that he himself is the one who taught Farhad how to love. Farhad's lament. With his shovel on my grave, Farhad said, "Oh, my beloved teacher, you are dead. Alive, how could I be free of sorrow? My wretched heart is tangled here," I said. Don't fret about building up your mansions. You cannot know when this life will unthread. Look here at the wasteland where I live now. I don't have dust to pour upon my head. Don't you hear it? Hold on a while. Listen. After me, such wailing will not be heard. Everywhere it seems the birds are singing. The hunter's woodland gardens my homestead. I die again each day and ask myself, when will I flee this prison life I dread? And my offering for the night is called Languor. I realized when I was writing this, it happens by chance that my content is very much in line with what is typical of the ghazal, I realized. But I took a few liberties with the form, which I'm really interested in, the form. And some of these are the kinds of liberties that Tony talks about toward the end of his introduction, which is worth reading in Ghalib, where I'm not always repeating exactly the same word, but there's always a similar sound. And the other thing is that even though I find the modularity built into this form really interesting and appealing, I didn't really use it. Mine isn't so much like a bunch of sushi or beads on a string, but it's more like a whole meal. And because of that, there's also a lot more enjambment than I've heard in any of the ghazals tonight. It starts with an epigraph from 2046, the film by Wong Kar-wai. Love is all a matter of timing. It's no good meeting the right person too soon or too late. Evenings later, as the heat breaks and the sky is nearly amber, like some liquid air liqueur and balmy, finally by the outdoor rooftop pool where I find a tiny solo table. I'm thinking, eating mussels with my hands, that it's like that moment as children when we began to tell time by the hands of round clocks, when clocks still had hands. And we had to be able to multiply, to interpret the numbers, or perhaps simply memorize time by position, the position of the hands. Only now we measure time by the years between the times our bodies were this close. And while my chin is red from your stubble, it's our hands that stay in contact, my right in your left, or sometimes both, as we enter into the ultra-saturated film montage of Bai Ling and Chow as he tries to hand her first a gift, then cash again and again, after the swells of their passion, which perhaps he enters into to forget, though when the always black-gloved hand of one Li Zhen, a master gambler, reminds him of another woman with the same name, his deepest long-lost love, current pleasure seems too hard to enter. On the other hand, he writes of characters who want to remember, re-inhabit, really, the magnetic pull of a moment in their past. And though someone also recently handed you that question about us, did we have unfinished business? It feels more to me as though we have continuing business that we couldn't have anticipated in those intervening years, as though that past prepared us for the moments of this present, wherever it will go. And so when they ask you about the night, tell them it has joined you, while your hands remind my thighs, my face, my body to sustain these dawning moments as our mostly separate pasts join in this present shared, your hands a place to know again the new. The way our thumbs now burrow rhythmically into our palms, our fingers lace, attend, caress, and how you slide your finger against my tongue, pull my thumb into your mouth, and yet sustain this time of passage, savoring the even-handed quietness of mere connection, simple gestural affection now more precious to you, you tell me, than those hotter zones of youth, so close at hand in other decades. So I'll choose for now to ditch my fear that I've grown harder to desire, or even bland. And rather than giving in to the theft of the possible, no, believe this isn't some delayed elegy after all, and trust this process to unfold in its own time, whether of the clock, the years, or your unhurried, unaffected hands.
So, this guy's some guy off the street. He wanted to read his poems, and so here he is. I'm going to read a couple sort of shortish ghazals first by Ghalib and then by Mir, and one that I wrote myself. Somewhere in there, I'll throw in a sonnet, but I'm not sure where. So let's go ahead and start with this poem, this one by Ghalib. It's called Handful of Dust. And Sarah was saying that one of the things that we were doing in this book that's a little bit different, you heard, I'm sure, that we were using often the rhyme plus repetition. Sometimes Ghalib would only do rhymes and no repetition. Sometimes he would do repetition, no rhymes. He was always kind of breaking the rules and mixing things up. And so that gave us permission to do similar things. And so we did a lot of homographs and homonyms, so that the words that sound the same but look different on the page, or look the same on the page but sound different, so as to give us a little bit more flexibility to get that wit across without being completely trapped within the literal translation. This is a poem that works in that way. It's called Handful of Dust. When my heart sees a hot scene, jealousy makes it icy. My wince cracks wide open with what the eye sees. The joy of sin should be strong as my heart hunger. My hemline soaks up 7 high seas. Each handful of dust in the garden croons like a turtle dove, because she's tall as a cypress and her struts a mite obscene. Okay, that's Ghalib. All right, here, this is a little sushi, little ginger here. There's a poem from my new book, Apocryphal Poems. It's a sonnet. A whole Florida of despair. You know all those things about Florida men, Florida women, how crazy they are and drug-addled and all the rest. It's true. In my experience, this is something that 2 summers ago in Florida, everything that is in this poem is the literal truth. A whole Florida of despair. Midnight in Florida was trouble's dawn. That's when the doorboards shook and called. There was weeping, screeching from the lawn, and something tore the lattice, rattled walls. I walked out with a flashlight. Dark palm trees, tossing dreadlocks, fat iguanas sneaking off the ocean's aria, black breeze, and found her by the pump house, shoeless, shrieking, body shaking like a dying gator. Her eyes were holes, her brain exploding powder. Someone yelled, "I've called the cops!" Then later, the boyfriend shouting, "I won't leave without her!" And the young policeman fiddling with his gun, smiling. Some young folk having too much fun. All right, so this is Do Something by Mir. It's a gamble, but you must do something. You can't just sit here. You must do something. Love speaks with only one tongue. Do something. So shout, wail, weep, but you must do something. Why do you sit, hands in your lap, hopeless? The caravan is leaving. Do something. Should I kill someone? Slit my own throat? My tongue replies, yes, you must do something. Should I watch my chest bleed or write poems? And he replies, yes, you must do something. If you can't pray to God, at least follow your heart. But there's no time left. Do something. You and I aren't friends. But when this friend's heart comes close to yours, of course, it must do something. Mir, it's not that you're old. You're just lazy. You're young by God's grace, so go do something. Love that poem. So in my new manuscript, I have a character who is sort of me if I were female, somewhat more drug-addled and despairing. And I call her Bright Goddess. So here's Bright Goddess, divorced and starting to date again. And the title is, this is a ghazal. The title is Tinder Window Starbucks. She's swiping left and right on the iPhone's glass eye when the gaze of a man through the window snags her eye. But he can't see her through his buff pecs reflection and walks off inside his idea of himself, that fabulous I. FaceTime windows, yoga, mirrors, the way dreams gaze back at you, everywhere mirrors trap your eyes. She is a mirror ball hung in a dark abandoned ballroom. His soul's a bit of city grit snagging in her eye. Her gaze is a bowl that never tastes the soup. He thinks he's living the life inside this bone house with scabs for eyes. Bodies are dancing puppets with wood limbs, with nervous speech and a cargo of death in bags hanging from their eye. Why do we call thought reflection, like a mirror shard capturing light? She reflects on how the present has killed her past eyes. Do not say I think, say I am thought. Something splinters inside of her and peers from the black of her eye. She'd seen so many TV kisses that when kissed at last she shattered to silver slivers, tears raining beautifully while she dabbed both eyes. Here is a plastic bag struggling in the air, a bright wounded jellyfish. Was this the basic mistake? To invent God from what catches the eye? Thank you, everybody, for A Night of Ghazals. And thank you, Beyond Baroque. Good night.